Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Sit, please. Sit. How's everybody doing? Aren't you glad the charter calls for us all to be sworn in the middle of summer? Let's do this in November in 4 years. What do you think? Well, first, let me thank those who are up here on the stage with me today. Kenya and Lily, who represent the hope of our city. My family, especially my parents and my sister, who taught me the meaning of public service. And my love and my light, Amy Elaine Wakeland, and mi hija preciosa, Maya Juanita. I love you all. This day is yours too. Looking out at all of you today, my friends and fellow Angelenos, at this awesome symbol of our city and our democracy that is behind me, I feel a deep sense of humility and awe. You see, my family's story begins in Los Angeles humbly. One side of my family crossing oceans and a continent to flee persecution in Poland and Russia. The other crossing a river, escaping war in Mexico, both looking for a better life. My grandparents and great-grandparents never would have dreamed that today I'd be standing here, soon to be the 42nd mayor of the great city of Los Angeles. But what's remarkable about my family's story is that it's yours too. For so many of us, Los Angeles has been the last and the best frontier, a place where difference and diversity aren't castigated, they're celebrated, long before the courts rule in their favor. A place where immigrants and idealists and innovators find a horizon as wide and as open and limitless as the human mind itself. A place where opportunity practically hangs from the trees, and hard work and enterprise are all you need to share its fruits. A place where you can't be pessimistic even if you wanted to be. Because in the words of Wallace Stegner, this is the native home of hope. Let's face it, if you called Central Casting looking for the American dream, they'd have no choice but to send you right here to Los Angeles. And it doesn't hurt that the weather's pretty nice, too. But despite our sunny days, these past few years, we've all seen some storm clouds overhead. A recession that put too many of us out of work and out of our homes, that challenged us to remember this basic truth: we can never, ever take jobs and growth for granted. For too long, it's been too easy to assume that nature's bounty and our people's industry are all we need to prosper. But without the right public policy, without the right focus and common sense from our leadership, we'll never make the most of those crucial assets. Yes, we've made progress. Antonio Villaraigosa helped make Los Angeles a safer, greener, and stronger city than he found it. Mayor, you helped us navigate through some of our toughest days and pointed us squarely to a more prosperous future. So on behalf of all of us, I want to say thank you. But if we want a prosperity that lifts up all of our people, if we now want to lead a national economic renaissance and not just hope to ride its unsteady waves, if we want to prepare a great city for a whole new era of innovation and opportunity, we have to work to make it happen. And that's what I will do: work hard on the basics. These times demand a back-to-basics mayor focused above all on our economy and on jobs. And that's what I intend to be. We have to accept that the days of seemingly spontaneous growth and huge mega industries are gone, maybe for good. But what remains is something of even greater value: our human capital. The innovation and talent and energy that have made Los Angeles the creative capital of the world. You see, I learned as a councilman, and I learned as council president, that with the right strategic focus, with the right fundamentals, working together, we can harness that capital and create good jobs, neighborhood by neighborhood, across this great city. I learned that teamwork matters, that consensus matters, that a city hall that works together and a region that partners as one is more powerful than a divided and fractious metropolis. So I congratulate my colleagues at City Hall, our shining city council, our new council members who are here today, our new city attorney and city controller, and I reach out my hand to my peers in neighboring cities and in the county and in our school districts for all of us to take up the task of rebuilding LA together. I can't wait to work with you and our neighborhood councils, with our faith community, our labor and business leaders, and everyday Angelenos to get back to the basics together. We have to start with the most basic task of all, though, hanging a bright neon sign on our city that says Los Angeles is open for business. We need to change the way that people see our traditional industries so that they can thrive and grow again. We need to market LA aggressively and creatively to the entire world as the gateway to the Pacific Rim and the gateway to new ideas and innovations. That's what I'll do as LA's salesman in chief. We need to nurture small businesses, which after all are the global game changers of the future. That means cutting through a clutter of regulations and red tape and saying to small businesses and scrappy startups alike, you'll have a local government that's off your back and on your side. To me, nothing is more basic than phasing out the business taxes that scare away our job creators or send them running to other cities. Now, tax policy can be pretty complicated, so let me break it down with just two numbers, 88 and 1. LA County has 88 different cities, and when it comes to high business taxes, the city of LA is number 1. Now, I'm not afraid to tell you, this is one area in which I intend to lower our city's standing. It's a simple principle. You cannot attract jobs with one hand if you're overtaxing them with the other. And to those who might say that cutting business taxes is just too expensive, I say losing jobs in businesses and all of their taxes is even more expensive. So with the right focus, with the right tenacity and drive, we also can make Silicon Beach more than just a pipe dream. We can make it a pipeline to the future. With enough startups, computer coding in our classrooms, and teaming tech companies to give our neighbors in the north a run for their Bitcoin. And we can't stop at new economy jobs. I think 5 people got that up there. Look it up, Google it. With the right industrial policy, we can reclaim a critical part of our economic heritage, like helping LA's aerospace industry take flight once again, or leading a manufacturing revolution right here in America's manufacturing capital, retaining and growing our leadership in international trade and tourism. We must focus on the high-skilled, high-paying jobs that together build strong neighborhoods and collectively an even stronger city. I'll fight to attract Fortune 500 companies and startups alike. In fact, I'll chase after jobs in companies around the country and around the world. It shouldn't be easier for a business leader in Los Angeles to get a meeting with the governor of Texas than it is for them to get their own city hall to listen to their needs. I'll take the fight out of state. And if anybody in Texas seriously thinks that LA doesn't have better weather, better people, and a better quality of life, well, then they're all hat and no cattle. But getting back to basics also means bringing Hollywood back home. Ending runaway TV and film production for good. And while I thank all my colleagues that are here, my great friends from the state legislature, I want us to collectively understand that meaningful tax credits for our entertainment industry isn't some showbiz boondoggle. It means more jobs for the middle class, more tax revenue. It's our neighbors, it's our florists, it's our bakers, it's the people in our neighborhoods that other cities and states are tripping over themselves to get. So I'll lobby hard in Sacramento. And Kevin DeLeon is saying he's already going to help, I see. And at the county level. And I'll set an example here by hiring a film czar at City Hall. And we'll work to eliminate the tangle of fees and rules that make filming here feel more like Les Miserables than Fast and Furious like it ought to be. We were going to go with Happy Feet, but you know. Of course, to be economically strong, though, we have to make our communities the safest in the nation. Thank you to Mayor Villaraigosa and this council for working together with me to make sure this was the safest city that we have experienced in our lifetimes. And we see stories about other cities struggling with crime and violence. Well, I can tell you that will not happen on my watch. We're going to keep reducing crime and violence until every last Angelino can walk the streets free from fear. It starts with smart policing, increased focus on stubborn pockets of gang crime, and providing youth summer jobs and intervention programs that keep crime from happening in the first place. And we can't lead the economy of the future unless our education system trains and retrains us for the jobs on the future. So I will focus on vocational ed in our schools. I will work hard to prepare people not just be college ready, but career ready. And let's work with our veterans returning home from war to help them win their future with a good job. And let us work with our dreamers and our immigrant communities as we transition to the new immigration law that we all hope for. One that swings open the doors of opportunity and makes it clear we may not all share a common past, but we all surely do share a common future. As a back-to-basics mayor, I'll prioritize the city services that make our neighborhoods beautiful and make our city shine. We'll fix the potholes and pave the streets, pick up the litter, fix the sidewalks and trim the trees. And we'll have a customer-friendly government, one you can actually reach on the phone. You see, it's no use painting a lofty picture if you don't have the brass tacks to pin it up on the wall. We'll work to bring what is too often a rotary phone government into the smartphone era. Some of my most gratifying work on the City Council was applying new technology to the oldest, most stubborn problems we have, like a smartphone app, which lets Angelinos report graffiti and potholes as they see them, or a parking app which shows drivers where to find empty parking spaces on the street in real time. And we'll streamline business permitting with one portal that reduces decades of bureaucracy to a few clicks of a mouse. We'll work to make government leaner and more efficient, restoring depleted services in a way that costs you less and serves you more. And we'll start in the mayor's office tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, I will ask every general manager to reapply for his or her job. They'll have to start by giving me their ideas about where we can save money, how we can better provide city services, and what the fundamental mission of their office should be. At the end of the evaluations, we'll specify numerical goals for every department and every general manager, and we'll make them public. We'll tell you when something is wrong. We'll fix the things that are broken, and we'll double down on the things that work. We'll experiment and take calculated risks, and at every step of the way, you, the people of Los Angeles, can hold our feet to the fire and see that we're meeting those goals and making LA the city that you need and deserve it to be. To my friends, the general managers, none of this is punitive. I simply want to do what any forward-looking enterprise or leader does and constantly ask, is this job or responsibility necessary, and how can we do it better? You see, I believe it's important to ask before you act, to listen and learn before you lead. That's why tomorrow morning I'll start my own economic roundtable, meeting with neighborhood business leaders, small business owners, and entrepreneurs to ask them what they need and what they want to create jobs and to grow our economy. I'll meet with our labor leaders and our community and faith leaders to do the same. But I'll then employ that same listen and then lead strategy in the afternoon on a range of issues facing our city and our people by holding the first public office hours for the mayor, where Angelinos can come and meet with me directly and key members of my administration to share their problems and their ideas about how to fix them. In my first 100 days as mayor, I'll also meet with Fortune 500 and startup executives, with leaders of our top universities, our nonprofits, philanthropies, and other major institutions. They already play such a critical role in the life of the city. I want to engage them as partners, direct them, and get their best thinking about how we can make LA the very best that it can be. Now, there's one more thing that I can promise you. I will make my share of mistakes in this job. I won't be a perfect mayor, far from it, but I will be the mayor of a great city. During the last Olympics, this city won more medals than most countries. That same summer, our brightest minds put a rover on Mars. And as I say these words, we are surrounded by a city that leads this planet in entertainment, in medicine, in fashion, in music, in global trade. You see, one person, one mayor, by himself, cannot single-handedly bring about a more livable city and a more prosperous future. But together, we, the 4 million most creative, diverse, hard-working people ever assembled in one place in human history, marching towards a common horizon, are an unstoppable force for progress. So are you ready to join with me? Are you ready to join with me today and for the next 4 years? Are you ready to join me in leading this city with all of its scope and majesty to bright days ahead? Well then, firmly rooted in our proud past, boldly looking towards an ambitious future, you can now see why I started today from a place of humility. It's at moments like this that I think about the challenges that my great-grandparents and grandparents faced. Coming to a land they didn't know, with a language they didn't speak, with nothing but their grit and determination to do better than their parents did. And they did. And with your help and your hard work, if you're ready, we are going to do it too. To make that promise real for our children and our grandchildren, for all who share the hope of this, our American horizon. And so this grandchild of immigrants thanks you from the bottom of my heart for sharing my hope, for sharing my journey. And now let's get to work and build the city of our dreams. Thank you very much.